heard too many horror stories about like Wi-Fi tripping up, and then next thing you know, you failed the bar. Like that's the one thing that would make me like so genuinely upset that I would have to switch to a different profession. I can't study for the bar for 3 months and then fail because of Wi-Fi. Like,
hi everyone, it's Kay Yvonne here. Welcome back to my channel. So, there is no question that 2020 has been a challenging and tumultuous year. We had locusts plaguing the Middle East, we had the Australian wildfires, we're currently in a pandemic. I'm just curious at this point, what is the next event that's going to plague us all? For 2020 law graduates, it's the bar exam. Today's video is going to be a little different. I've invited some 2020 law graduates to talk about the bar. We're going to talk about what state bars are doing to accommodate test takers and just any other opinions that come to our head about how the whole bar process is going. So, enjoy. Today's law students are Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Kay Yvonne. We're going to start with introductions, so just let you guys know who is going to be part of the conversation today. All right.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Jones. I'm taking the bar in Illinois.
Hi, I'm Brian Ingram, and I'm taking the bar in Illinois.
Hi, I'm Callie, and I'm taking the bar in Missouri.
Hi, my name is Michaela. I do not know where I'm taking the bar.
hi, my name is Inkem, and I am taking the bar in New York.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm taking the bar in California.
Hi, I'm Will, and I'm taking the bar in Illinois.
And hi, I'm Keisha, and I'm taking the bar in Maryland. Okay, I'm going to start off by asking if you like the accommodations or the preventative measures that your state bar is taking in response to COVID. So this is going to be simple, just a thumbs up if you like what your state bar is doing, or a thumbs down, and we'll take it from there. So all right, we see a half and mostly thumbs. Oh, that's a thumbs down in Cam?
Yeah, my bad.
All right, most of us are thumbs down. So let's talk about it. Why do we not like what the states are doing in response to COVID? Anyone can feel free to start, or I can call someone out. What do you want to do? All right, Brian.
So I think that it's just wholly inadequate because it takes a lot of time to prepare, and I think a lot of people just aren't in a position to prepare for the bar in an adequate way. They don't have the home office that they need. Like, they plan to study, like, me and my friends plan to study for the bar at Northwestern, like Northwestern closed. So like, we're all on our own kind of now. And so it's like, we don't have that camaraderie. It's hard to get through without other people, as I think any lawyer could tell you. And so just doing it on your own is very difficult. And I don't think that the state bar of Illinois is recognizing the strain that it puts on people being in isolation, trying to study for the exam.
Right. And just to add on to that, Brian, what is Illinois doing exactly? Like more details, what else are they doing? COVID?
So the bar exam was moved from the end of July to September 9th and 10th. And they haven't released much guidance on what they're doing in terms of like where they're going to have a venue or what that's going to look like, whether it's going to be online or like, they haven't released much guidance about what is actually going to take place on test day.
Okay. And in Kim, I saw you gave 2 thumbs down. So what's going on in California?
I mean, California is great, but in New York, I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, my bad. What's going on in New York, and Kim? You gave 2 thumbs down.
I can't, like, because the question was about like some of the safety precautions.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly can't tell you what the state of New York is doing. I do know that they sent at the beginning of, I guess, their opening of the application, they kind of sent a lot of would-be New York bar applicants kind of like shopping for a jurisdiction where they can take the bar. I almost registered to take the bar in Illinois, but something about paying $1,500 to register for a bar in a jurisdiction I had no intention to practice in just didn't sit right with me. So I waited to the 11th hour, and lo and behold, New York opened a second wave of applications, which was great. But given COVID and the fact that I decided to come home, I now am like in a position where if I were to go out to New York to take the bar, I'd have to quarantine for 14 days before I can leave like my apartment to go take the actual exam. So it's like now there are excess expenses that I didn't accommodate for that are now kind of like okay, like cool, I'm like screwed over. And I don't really know what to do about it.
I was also supposed to take the bar in New York, and I'm now taking it in Missouri, where I can affirmatively say I'm never going to practice in, because a work situation changed, so I had to sign up for a bar. But I was in the same, like New York is awful. I think they decided on April 30th, which is at 5 p.m., which is April 30th and May 1st is when almost every state closes their like bar application period. On April 30th at 5 p.m., they said, if you're not in school in New York State, you can't take the bar in New York State. So there was this like entire mad dash of like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like, do I sign up for a random state? I don't even know if I can get barred in that state. I don't know if like that bar will happen or if New York will accept that bar, like, or if that state will let me take their bar. The timing of it was like truly like just unbelievable. And they knew from the beginning how many people they could accommodate because they know how many law students are in their state. So it doesn't make any sense why you would wait for like literally hours before we had other options. And then the other option was just like Inkim was saying, paying $1,500. And so that's why I'm taking it in Missouri. And it did cost $1,700. And it's insane. But luckily the school Star Fund is paying for it. But I don't think that that's what the Star Fund is supposed to pay for, is like the New York State Bar basically like screwing people over. Like that's not their job. So I don't know, thank God for like going to a well-funded law school, but also like that's not the law school's job, is to like make up for New York's like administrative failures. And now you can take it in New York. And that's the whole like joke of all of this, is now there is enough space and you didn't need to freak us out. And everyone like could have just taken it in New York, but they like made us wait and pay all this money and just like make just ridiculous decisions. And it's like, we're entering this profession, but they're like, it's like, haven't we paid enough? Like school is expensive enough. I shouldn't like still be paying so much money just so I can practice. It's ridiculous.
If I can say something, one thing, at least for me, that this whole messed up time period has led me to, was kind of like, I guess everyone's like re-examining like the purpose of the bar. And, some states are saying, or proposing, you can practice for like X amount of months and you retake the bar later, et cetera. And you just kind of are really thinking, we're going through all this BS for a test that really has no kind of way to measure what type of attorney we're going to be. And if I'm practicing for like 6 months or a year, and then if I fail the bar and lose my license, well, that's just kind of backwards. So I don't know, it's just, the whole thing is stupid and frustrating, and they should just get rid of the whole thing and make us attorneys.
I could talk about California, even though Inchem said California's great. Right now, it's not so great. They postponed the July bar to September in March. And then I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they emailed us and they said, maybe it's going to be in October. Maybe we'll have the MBE. Maybe it'll be all essay. And so I don't really know what's going on right now, which is kind of a bummer. And they said they'll let us know the week of July 13th. So I guess I will figure out next week what I'm going to do. For now, I suppose it's in person, and I have to go to the Anaheim Convention Center right by Disneyland. And until they say it's remote, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I don't know. It's been pretty tough to kind of prepare for an exam when you don't know the date, but you also don't know the format and also how they're going to grade anything, because they said if they push it to October, grading is going to be done January 25th. And then a lot of people fail the California bar. So if you have to retake it in February, no one really knows what that's going to mean down the line. So those are my thoughts right now, but hopefully we'll find out next week.
Yeah, I mean,
I can.
oh, God.
I can just speak a little bit about DC, who had a really, really late original filing deadline, and still managed to mess up horribly, and sent everyone. So DC announced that there would be 2 weeks for priority registrants, which includes recent grads. And then within like 11 hours, they closed the application. And I think that was in like late May. That's how late the original deadline was. So at that point, only like Maryland's deadline was like 2 days later, and like Virginia had like most states had already closed, or everyone from New York ran to the other states. Meaning that if you could, in Maryland, you have to apply by paper. So since I didn't get into DC, I like frantically got everything into Maryland, and no surprise, I messed something up in my like frantic state and didn't sign something that I needed to be able to get into Maryland. And then like 3 weeks later, DC said, just kidding, we're gonna do it online. And Maryland also said, just kidding, we're gonna do it online. And that they both eventually agreed to refund fees that didn't include like the $150+ for shipping and DMV records and official transcripts. And I'm still waiting on my refund from Maryland. So like Callie said, I actually opted to not apply for a bar exam. I mean, for financial reasons, because again, I'm waiting on my $700 from Maryland, but also because it's really hard, like so many others have said, to study for an exam right now. So since I, unlike many others, have the privilege of waiting, that's why I've decided to just wait for February in hopes that things might be better.
And Will, I'm gonna let you go, but I'm just gonna add on to Michaela since I'm taking the Maryland bar. A part that she left out, which is really devastating, is initially I signed up for the Maryland UBE. So I was like, I'm gonna have that opportunity to wave into DC, or if, I'm not sure where I'm going to live, I have that chance to just wave into the other UB states. So when they made that announcement where they said we're going remote, they said first we're going remote in September. Then they were like, we're going remote in October. And guess what? We are now not going to be part of the UBE, but we're going to have all the same test requirements, but you won't be able to wave into the UBE, and you will not be able to take another Maryland UBE ever. Like, if you want to take a UBE, you're going to have to take it somewhere else. So, joke's on us. So, and then on top of that, with the refund, like, when they gave us the refund, everyone's bar registration deadline was closed. So it was like, what's the point of the refund? We can't even go anywhere. We're just trapped. So very frustrating, very frustrating. It's all you, Will.
I was just going to say that I think last week several states moved their exam. They either moved it or they changed how they were going to administer it. And so it's made it very difficult to study when you don't really know. I mean, it's hard to study when you don't really know when it's actually going to be. And then there's also just like, if they do extend it a month, or like what materials are we going to be using in that month, and what does that look like? And so it's definitely a lot of stress, even though Illinois hasn't moved it in a while. But there's still just like in the back of my head, you feel like it's going to get moved. So
Kentucky canceled like 2 weeks before their deadline.
Yeah,
Their test date.
Not say that. I am like freaking out. I never want to be barred in Missouri. Like, I literally am never, ever going to use that exam in my whole life. But I'm right now banking in a really sick way that they are like, think they're untouchable enough by coronavirus that they like won't cancel their in-person exam, which is like the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, like give it to me so that I can get like pass the UBE bar so that it's just so stupid. But anyway, if they do cancel it, I'll just have wasted like $1,700 in 8 weeks of my life studying for an exam that I'm not going to take, because I'm definitely not going to take an exam in Missouri that is non-transferable, because I'm never going to practice in Missouri. So it'll just be like, I don't know, will Themis give me a new, like prep and like just, it's so stupid. We should just cancel the bar. I agree with Paul.
Yeah. I was gonna say, kind of to Paul's point, how it doesn't like taking the bar exam doesn't really measure your aptitude as a lawyer. Like currently, I'm doing a Pilley Fellowship where I'm working at the Health Justice Project, and all of my clients are all they have is very severe illnesses, like every single one of them. And I'm studying for this exam instead of like working on these briefs for them and like helping my clients like in their time of need under the supervision of like experienced attorneys. But I'm studying for this arbitrary exam. Like I was studying evidence, and I was like, I don't know what, like the hearsay rule. I'm never gonna go to court. I'm a corporate lawyer. I'm never gonna go to court. If I'm in court, someone's going to jail. Like it's something bad happened. So it's like, why am I studying this? What am I studying this for? I don't need to know family law. Like I'm never getting divorced. Like I don't know. Like it's very kind of onerous.
I think also, like, to add on to what Brian said, it's like very unrealistic when it comes to like the actual practice of law. Because how often is it that like a client walks into your office and like, hey, I have these questions that I need you to answer, but I need you to like use your memory as opposed to like researching the law to answer them. And I'm gonna give you, like 3 hours to do it, and I hope that you get all of them right. But I only need 60% of it. Like it's just very unrealistic. Like it's not the true practice of law. Like we go to law school for 3 years. They teach us how to think like a lawyer, so we know. I feel like we're equipped with like critical thinking skills and like how to attack a client's not attack, maybe that's a different word, like how to address a client's legal problems. I don't see how rote memorization and regurgitation of what we just memorized is going to teach us how to be better lawyers.
I also just feel like it's important to note that people state bars are acting like, oh, we'll just push it 2 months, and that then retaining everything that you've memorized is like a walk in the park and super easy to do, when obviously we all know that like that's just not the case. So that's not the solution either.
I also have a problem, sorry, I'm like ranting, but with the remote administration of it, because there's the performance test where they give you like the file and the library and everything, and you're supposed to go through it. And if that's remote and we're not allowed to print anything, they expect us to scroll through however many pages of whatever we have to do, and then do that. It's a 90 minutes per performance test.
I didn't even think of that. Oh my gosh.
And I feel like that form of the bar, that's the best way that as an attorney you would practice. You have all the materials available to you, you have to do the research, and you write something up. So I feel like that is the best way to measure competence if you're going to, and the feasibility of that on one laptop screen with your webcam on, someone or artificial intelligence, whatever they're doing, to monitor you to do that just seems like it won't be an actual measurement of how good you would be as a lawyer anyway.
Right. And since you brought up that point about online testing, I just wanted to ask, how do you guys feel about the test being remote? Caitlin already said how she feels. Does anyone else have any opinions?
I think it's risky. Like it's like I've heard too many horror stories about like Wi-Fi tripping up, and then next thing you know, you failed the bar. Like that's the one thing that would make me like so genuinely upset that I would have to switch to a different profession as opposed to retake, because I just can't, like, I can't study for the bar for 3 months and then fail because of Wi-Fi, like because they didn't want to think of other options outside of mandating this exam. Like it just doesn't, I don't like it. And I also recognize that like there are like some bar takers who don't have the privilege of dropping their kids off at childcare providers, or who are not like it's not feasible for them to take the bar exam at home. And I think like it's just logic is staring at everyone in the face, but for whatever reason, law examiners like across the different states are missing the logic, and I just don't understand what they expect us to do. And punting the exam down the road or switching it to an online format just continues to like breed more and more problems. And it's clear what the obvious solution is, but they just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I was initially like excited about the idea of an online bar exam because at this point, I think everyone's so transient and like in different locations every other day that in some way online seems like if you've already started a job in another state that is letting you work without taking the bar, perhaps like you have a better chance of passing if you don't have to take additional time off work and go quarantine. But it's like still an imperfect solution for all of the reasons and highlighted.
Yeah, I mean, I really just think it's just like, it makes sense to me, like what the state bar is, like their mentality is just like, well, if I had to do it, then they got to do it. Like, but they don't, I think they're not like filtering that through the lens of a public health crisis. And it's like, you know, I think that the legal profession has this interest in having a barrier to entry. And like, you know, because you don't want everyone just practicing law. Like you want, you know, anyone can go to law school and spend all their money, but they want that additional filter, which, like I said, I think in normal times, maybe it might not be such a bad idea, but like right now it's like, we need people to be lawyers to like do things. And like an exam, like most of us are gonna pass the exam anyways. So what difference does it make? You know, we all went to Northwestern, it's like a 92% pass rate or whatever it is. So like, you know, I don't know how we filter out the 8%, but like, give me, you know, let me practice. Also, like, we need money. Like, that's another thing. Like, we need to be working. We need money. These loans are due. Like, I don't know what was like, yeah, because like the last thing I heard when I called the student loan people, they were like, there's a moratorium on interest right now, but they were like, yeah, you still got to start paying like in November. Like, so, you know, we're going to be in contact. That's what they told me. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, you know, which is fine if I'm going to get paid, but if I ain't get paid, they can't get paid. So then like,
I mean, that's the irony though, right? Like we've heard like the horror stories of like very rare, but certain people failing the character and fitness for like debt reasons. And I'm like, but here are 2020 grads about to go into debt to be able to afford to take y'all bar exam.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you gonna pay for my internet? Like, I don't understand what I'm paying for. If I'm paying you $1,500 freaking dollars, what, like literally what am I doing if I'm gonna be doing that remotely? It makes you better pay for my internet. You better like pay for every time I need to take the bar afterwards. Like it's stupid. It's like I don't know. I feel like I'm like, did you guys actually take the bar? Like, did you actually do this? Because now I'm starting to wonder if you didn't or if you did, because your like experience and what your expectation is for us and our like retention of memory and stress around it and ability to just like shift the schedule whenever you feel like it. Like, did you guys do this exam? Because it doesn't feel like you did if these are your expectations.
Also, I want to, go ahead, Ankem.
I don't know if this is like appropriate to say, but I feel like this is like the people that are like, oh, I take it so you have to do it, are like the same people that look at like millennials and zennials and like, back in my day, college was $1 and now you have to go. It's like it's like they're so far removed from the reality of right now, and like a lot of them don't want to like even consider our perspective and where we're coming from. And it's like, I don't know how to address that. I don't know how to like go about getting them to understand that like when you took the bar, the world looked differently. For one, we weren't in a pandemic. We weren't on the tail, or not even the tail. We weren't in the midst of constant social unrest. Like the world was literally different. Like unless you were alive during the 1917 influenza, like you didn't have to do what we were doing right now. Like so many people have lost family members. So many people have family members that are infected with COVID, and you're forcing us to sit down, buckle down for 3, 4, maybe 5 months, depending on whenever they decide to move it again, to study for an exam that really has no impact on our practice of law.
All right, I'm gonna ask another question just to get us on track. We're kind of, I think, at 25 minutes. So let's just speed it up. I'm going to ask 2 more questions, and then that's it. So the next one is, how do you guys feel? Well, not every bar is remote. Some bars still want to be in person. Some are still in July. So how do you feel about the bars that are requiring applicants to fill out, assume the risk waivers and things like that to take the test?
I'm not signing no damn waiver. Period. What? We just went to law school.
Aren't
We
they
just went to law
void?
school.
Also, aren't waivers void for public policy? I feel like I just learned that in tort law. They're not real. They don't.
Yeah, what is going on with, like, in the world? Like, I really just, like, no, yeah, that's just no waivers, not signing it.
Also, aren't they like unconscionable? Like, that's just like, granted, I know a little bit about contracts because, you know, just barely competent. But like, it's kind of unconscionable to sign away like my rights in the middle of a public health crisis.
Also, isn't like changing the UBE also materially altering the contract? Like, if you change the element, that's a material element of the exam, is like your ability to transfer that score. And so you shouldn't have to pay for that if they change it. Like, that's no. Also, I just wish they would just get everyone tested. Like, they should, rather than have me like waive away my rights, like require me to enter because I do have to do it in person, hopefully Missouri willing, you know, like, just make me hand you a clean bill of health on my entrance. You're already requiring me to get like fingerprinted, like wearing a mask. Like, you're making me do a bunch of shit that doesn't at all relate to like how safe I am in that environment. So you might as well just require me to also get a coronavirus test and make it available. And I'll feel a hell of a lot safer than like signing, just not making you liable. That's only protecting you, not me.
Yeah, to Callie's point, I think that like, my whole thing is like, we just don't understand so much about this virus that like, in some places you go, they take your temperature. It's like, oh, I'm not currently experiencing symptoms, but I could still be sick. So like, what's the point of taking my temperature if I'm asymptomatic and still spread this? And like, I don't know. It's a very like, so like, I don't know what types of measures that someone could put in place to guarantee, or I mean, like you said, you can't even guarantee it. So like, to reasonably assure someone that this is safe. I don't think that any state has any infrastructure in place to like, you know, make people think an in-person exam will be safe.
I think this whole conversation too is why I'm warming so much to the idea of a remote exam. Like, I would prefer not to have to take it remote, but like, as opposed to being in person, I really don't want to take it in person. I really don't want to go through all the protocols that'll come with that. Because that's just like another thing to worry about on test day. I mean, similarly, if my internet goes out, that's another thing to worry about on test day. So anxiety is going to be high anyway. So just anything that can cut down on that, I'm in favor of.
All right, last question. I just want to say thank you guys for, you know, being on so long. But last question is, so what do you feel about diploma privilege? Should we be granted diploma privilege? You want to say why? Go ahead, feel free.
So this is the thing. As we're all went to law school, it's going to set a precedent. So we get diploma privilege, then everybody else is going to want diploma privilege. Is that a bad thing? That ain't my question to answer. Give me my diploma privilege at this point. Like, I feel like, you know, we've gone through we already missed our goddamn graduation. Like, why y'all making it so hard on us? Y'all making life really hard on 2020 graduates. And we worked hard and we got our diplomas. So just let us practice law. Like, I don't know. Yeah, we should get it for sure. But I don't know if everybody.
Yeah, no, I agree with Brian completely. I wouldn't even benefit from diploma privilege at this point because I'm no longer registered for an upcoming exam, but I'm 100%, whatever that means for the future, I don't really care. I think right now we are not in ordinary times, like Kim said. So the only thing that makes sense from a public health standpoint is diploma privilege, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with Michaela on that. I mean, this is crazy. Everything's crazy. crazy. And the fact that we still have to go through this bar process, that everything is normal. It's already a stressful process in normal times. It's just, yeah, give us the point.
I'd agree with Paul, but I think there's a characterization of people saying diploma privilege is some kind of free pass and people just want it because it's the easy way out. And I don't think that's the reason I would support it. And I do it because I feel like up to this point, the state bars haven't given us a plan about what's going to happen. So it's impossible to prepare adequately for whatever is going to happen. I guess I'll find out next week again, like I said, but up till now, all the materials we have, everything's for a traditional in-person exam. I don't know how to use digital scratch paper. I don't know how I'm going to annotate everything I'm supposed to annotate. So for me, like, as far as it being this upcoming year for 2020, I agree with Michaela and Paul. I don't know, like, Brian said what that means for the future, but that's where I stand on it.
I just feel like we've rejected a lot of norms lately because there's a pandemic. So I don't really understand why, like, this is the one that we're like, this is gonna change the world. Like, the world's changed. We like, it's, yeah, okay, we can just figure out each year as it comes from now on. But like, I don't know. I'm waiting for New York Bar to on like July 26th at 5 p.m. Be like, just kidding, diploma privilege. You guys are all welcome here. And then it's like, oh, okay, I'm in Missouri. Like, do I take this? Do I not take this? TBD.
Oh.
Go ahead, Brian.
Who's talking?
No, I was gonna say, isn't didn't in Illinois, didn't the state Supreme Court force the Board of Bar Examiners to make a decision by tomorrow?
Yeah.
So let's just pray that we ain't gotta do it. Hopefully they find mercy in their hearts.
I just wanted to bring up a point that it was overlooked. When I think of diploma privilege, I'm thinking of the people who it's benefited the most. And I'm thinking of people who have families to take care of, you know, and luckily for us, we go to a T14 law school where finding jobs is not hard. Like, most of us have jobs right after law school, after we graduate. But normal law schools, people are looking for jobs after they take the bar. So you're applying to jobs right now, and you can't start until you pass the bar. And so now when you're talking to employers, they're saying, when are you taking the bar? And then you're like, well, I'm taking it in October now. And then they're like, well, that means you're not going to get your answer until when? Like November, December? We can't keep that job offer open for that long. And so it's just like, why not have diploma privilege? You're going to take away people's chances to provide for their family, especially during a pandemic? I don't understand. I truly don't.
I think also to kind of like add on to what has already been said by everyone, like with respect to diploma privilege, it's some of the arguments I've heard against it were just like, oh, we have to have these barriers to keep unethical or like maintain the competence of lawyers. But it's like, what is the point of the NPRE? What is the point of mandating ethics? Like, what is the point of 3 years of law school? Like, we have all of these barriers. Like, in order to be barred in New York, you have to take the NPRE, graduate with a JD or LLM, or maybe another foreign degree. You have to pass the NYLC, take the NYLE, and take the New York bar exam. It's like, why do we have all of these barriers to entry? And if 3 exams don't tell you that someone is competent enough to be an attorney, what is a 4th exam going to do? Like, what really? And I think like this is the reason why I'm like so frustrated during this entire time period, because people are trying to hold on to this archaic test, but they don't have too much to stand on. Like, they can't tell me how mandating an exam that tests your ability to memorize archaic or like memorize like the bare minimum across a bunch of different topics is going to make you a better attorney, or it's going to stop you in the future from committing malpractice. Like, there's no logical argument for it.
All right, so I'm going to have to stop the session because 2 people have to leave. But thank you so much for being a part of the discussion today, guys. I really enjoyed the conversation. It was very fruitful. Hopefully, someone sees this and change can be made in our favor. So thank you so much. Please stay safe during this pandemic, and I wish you all the best as you study for the bar prep. Hopefully, diploma privilege. Crossing fingers. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Kamisha.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.